How about now? I'm just going to keep talking. And tell me if at some point... Okay, we're good now? Awesome. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. I don't know why that keeps happening. Anyhow, well, hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Before we start, just a couple quick announcements. Make sure to check out our schedule. We have some new stuff up there. Our March schedule is up. So that's super exciting. A bunch of fun stuff. We still have a bunch of stuff coming up in February. We're only about halfway through the month, right? Added to the schedule recently, Katie Mead is putting on a class, Sword Games. That was a class that was put on before, and everyone had a really great time. So it's happening again. Yeah, so check it out. It's on our sign up at GEMAC.club and on longsemester.com. We'll go over all that crazy stuff again at the end. So let's go ahead and let's start doing our warm-ups. All right, so put your sword shaped object aside, and let's do some stretching. Okay, two. All right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Deep lunge. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Let's do a little cardio, just get warmed up. One of the things I'm going to do today is it's going to be a little different. Today's subject is going to be basic fencing stuff. Really kind of a survey of really basic foundations, because next month we're going to be kind of jumping into more of more specific technique type things. So what we're going to do is kind of draw out our practice and practice cut and thrust session and kind of turn it more into a kind of learn as we go kind of thing, and also kind of break down the practice cuts as we go. All right, so let's do a little cardio. So let's begin with putting our left foot forward. All right, bend our knees a little bit in the kind of boxing position, and we're going to kick and make sure to try to use our core. We should be working on making sure we're using our hips and our core to pull up our legs. All right, and if you have the flexibility, I don't, feel free to do a full kick. If not, just lift the knee. Try to get the knee at least kind of just above your hip. All right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch your feet. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch your feet back. We're going to go a little faster, okay? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch your feet. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jump back faster. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch them back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shake it out. And squats. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, feet together off to the side just a little bit. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. And okay, 10 push-ups in your own time. All right. Then when you're done with that, stretch it out. Take a rest and just stretch it out. All right. Okay. All right. Grab some water. Take a little power break. All right. I think that's a good start, right? All right. So make sure. Let's see. All right. So now grab your sword-like object. All right. On the left shoulder. All right. We're going to salute in. So, Achtfund. Begrüße. And onto the right shoulder. All right. All right. So let's begin with our warm-up cuts, or practice cuts, I really should call them. I don't like calling them warm-up cuts. Or I'm going to try my best to stop calling them warm-up cuts, simply because these cuts, we should always be practicing them as if we're actually doing cutting at tatami or cutting while we fence, right? We don't want to instill any bad habits in our practice cutting. So we need to make sure to think of them as practice and not warm-ups, all right? All right, so let's begin. For Mr. folks, into the High Lugensland, or longsword folks, it's the High Lugensland, or the High Vomtag for the longsword folks. Now for this, it comes to basic posture. It's typically said you want your feet about shoulder width apart, but that's not going to be true for everybody. Everyone's body is different. So it's good to think about your feet comfortably far apart. You don't want them together because this is not going to be good for structure, but just naturally take a couple steps and see where your feet fall, and in a way that feels comfortably structured, right? That might mean you have to move them out or in a little bit, but in general, toes generally facing forward, and feet comfortably apart is what I like to say, all right? And then in terms of how we want our feet, we generally want our toe just behind our heel, so right foot forward, left foot back. And we want this foot just a little bit back, but we want the left leg to be straight, right? The rear leg to be straight, and the front one bow just a little bit, right? And then I can't really reach as high as I'd like because my ceilings are kind of short. But sword over our head, and making sure, and part of the reason why this is called the Lugensland for Messer, it's looking into the land, the watchtower. Not only is it high and up like a watchtower, but you can also see everything around you, right? So that way, if you're also holding Vomtag, make sure that you're not obstructing your own view, right? Now, what we're going to do is we are going to now we are going to kind of review the 3 heights of a cut, all right? The first being the highest, which is kind of the Einhorn height. Yeah? So we're going to cut Oberhau, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, we're going to do this again. We're going to do 10 more of these. Now, 2 things I want everyone to focus on. One, when we're doing this cut, I don't want just forward, right? I don't want hands first, right? We got to make sure that when we're doing this cut, because I can see it from here, little pins, right? We don't want our hands first, right? We want to make sure that we are pushing and casting out with our core, but making sure the tip goes out first, right? Let's do 10 more, all right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. All right, better. I can see it from. I can already tell it's better. All right. Let's do 10 more. And now, just because the other lesson that's being taught here, aside from basics cut to the skull or the Einhorn height, the high cut height, our hand. I also want people to kind of focus on what hand positions you're in. All right. This is one of those things that we can use to go back and kind of work on perfecting the little things. Right. Think of the hand position. In this case, your dominant hand is always going to be on top. Should be your right hand. I mostly teach righty regardless of handedness, so I apologize. I sometimes also make the left people do right-handed stuff. But in this case, your palm should be facing to your left, right? If you have a navel, your navel should be facing to your right. This in general is called the third hand position or the straight hand position in some of the Messer texts. All right, and I want you, so we're going to do these again. Same thing, focus on getting the tip out, right? Extending out. But I also want you to think about that feeling of the sword in your hands with that grip, right? The hammer grip, right? Making sure that your hand, I just want you to do these 10 cuts and just concentrate on the feeling of your hand being in that third position, all right? The straight position, so to speak. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. All right, good. Now, let's move on. It's going to be the same cut, but it's going to be a different height. We're going to be cutting from Lugensland Vomtag, but we're going to be cutting to the long point, the Sprechfenster, okay? Sprechfenster height, the middle height. Same thing. And your hand's going to be in the same position, so focus on those 3 things, right? Making sure that we're reaching out, making sure that our grip is correct in that third position, and also making sure that we're getting the tip out first and we're cutting to that middle height, right? And it should be a continuous acceleration to that position, right? Don't worry about putting on the brakes until the very last minute, right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. That's already looking better. Let's do 10 more of the same thing. Focus on reaching out. I know we're in our homes. We don't always have the right amount of space, but the 2 corrections I'm going to make right now, making sure that we're not T-Rexing. I mean, no one's doing the severe T-Rex, but just making sure that we're reaching out and making sure that the cut is essentially the same acceleration all the way through. Don't think about trying to stop it into the long point. Just stop moving your arms. Yeah. Once you're in that spot, and then squeeze your hands a little bit and stop moving your arms, and the sword's just going to stop. Okay, let's do 10 more. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, good. Already better. All right, let's do all the way down to the Bastei or the Alber height. All right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. All right, let's do that again. A couple more. Let's do 10 more of those just to even it out because we've already done 60. Let's try to do maybe 20 more on the bottom, okay? 20 more of these. And eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, good. All right. Let's work on right over how now. So either you can either choose to keep your sword or messer above your head in the in the high Vomtag, like Lukenswand, or if you don't have the right amount of space, you can also use the kind of side Vomtag, or if you want to get really fancy, the shoulder Vomtag, okay? In either case, let's focus on the fundamentals again. Let's check on our posture, okay? Making sure our right foot is forward, our back leg is straight, our front leg is bowed. When you're bowing that front leg, I don't mean this kind of like, I don't know, what sport does this? I don't know. But like making sure that this knee does not pass the toe, right? And you're pushing back, right, with your left foot just a little bit, making sure you have a little bit of forward force there, all right? And tucking your tailbone. I know Kat has mentioned this in a couple of her yoga videos. Making sure you kind of know where your tailbone is. Kind of making sure that's centered and not sticking too far back or sticking too far out. Right? Let's center towards the ground, but centered and towards the ground. Right? Same thing. But same things before, making sure that our grip, check your grip every time before you begin, making sure you're in a good Vomtag, be it here or here. Sorry, I thought I saw something blip. So in these positions, and what we're going to do is now cut right over how. Now, the thing that we also want to make sure that we're doing is we're making sure we're getting the first part we want to make sure we hit all the correct points of the cut, right? We don't want to just come down. A couple of things. We want to make sure we're getting 45 degrees. Now, that's going to feel a little funky, getting that 45-degree cut, because what you're aiming for, this, right? Cutting from the soft tissue here to the soft tissue here, right? You're not cutting through the center of someone. You're cutting through this, kind of aiming for this area here, right? So that means maybe aiming a little higher. Because think of like the tatami, we always kind of do overhow towards the top. And so to make sure we get that angle, let's begin let's do a few of these together. Let's do these 10 in part together. All right, so into the Lukensland or the Vomtag. And we're going to go from here out to the angle we want to cut and cut. Eins. Reset. 1, 2, and reset. 3 und reset. 4 und reset. Now, if you notice, I just cut that actually improperly. Both my hands moved off center. Right? And now this is something to watch out for. It's something I'm still working on. And my teacher keeps harassing me about it. So don't make my mistakes. Right? Making sure when we're cutting this right overhow, we want to make sure that our off arm, our left hand, stays on a single line. right? If we were cutting it and we were just using one hand, our left hand, it would just be this, right? But since we're not, since we want to do a right overhow, our dominant hand is our steering hand, right? That was much better, right? Left hand is still on the center line. The right hand, in this case, is just to the left, well, ending in that kind of like left Alber position, all right? So the dominant hand actually passes the center line to the other side for the cut, because you're cutting through, right? You're not cutting into, right? That's a lot of problems when coming to the tatami. If you cut to the center, you're actually getting stuck down the middle of a thing, all right? So let's reset so I can fix my mistake to 3, all right? Back into the Vamtag, and 3, und reset. 4, und reset. 5, und reset. 6, und reset. 7, und reset. 8, und reset. 9, und reset. 10, und reset. 11, und reset. Let's do them a little faster. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, great, much better. I could see steady improvement even from a distance with the little itty bitty squares. All right, let's switch our feet. We're going to do the same thing, other side, all right? Check your posture, check your grip. Into the Vamtag or the Lugensland. Same thing, when we make this cut, left hand still comes down the center line, right hand goes offline to help you cut through the object, through the target. All right? 1, 1, 2 und 3 und 4 und 5 und 5 und 6 und 7 und 8 und 9 und 10 und. All right, for the next 10, let's speed it up just a little bit, all right? Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just to keep the 30 pattern going, let's do 10 more. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's take it out, shake it out. I know this is taking longer than usual. Grab some water real quick. And we will do Oberhau and then talk a little bit about how we can improve Unterhau next. Okay. All right. Everyone good? Let's get back to it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to Oberhau, Unterhau. All right. And so we're going to, I typically begin again in the high Vom-Tag. You can also begin in the shoulder Vom-Tag. Mechanics are generally the same. But one thing to look out for is making sure, first of all, you do the first cut first, right? Now what you're going to do is after you've done that first cut, don't rush, right? That's the number one mistake I make. It's the number one mistake I always see people making is, right? That was not, I'm getting a lot of I'm making a sound, but it's this flat part rushing through the air, right? We want to make sure that we come to Albur first and then come into Nebenhut, okay? Essentially, and to get into that Nebenhut, essentially your left hand should not be moving that much, right? You might have to come forward a little bit, but that's about it. You want to make sure that your pommel is facing forward and that the rest of your sword is straight line behind you, and then simply return the cut. All right, so we're going to do this slow. We're not doing double cuts here, right? So into the Vom-Tag oder Lebensland, left Oberhau, right unter. Und, eins, und, reset, zwei, und, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. All right, let's do a few more of these. All right, let's speed it up just a little bit, but not so much the duration between the cuts, but just the cuts themselves. All right. And eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. All right, let's do it 10 more times. 10 more. I'm on a 30 cut kick right now, or 30 increment kick right now. I don't know why. All right, and back into the Vom-Tag. And eins, zwei, drei, vier. Oh, sorry, buddy. Vier. Yeah, I did it that time without hurting my poor plant. Fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Good. All right, we can move on to the other side now. Same thing, other side. Check your posture, check your grip. We're going to cut right over. Now, the one thing you're going to notice with this side, especially if you're right-handed, your left hand is probably going to have to loosen, your left grip is going to have to loosen just a little bit. You still want to make sure that you're cutting and throwing back. I always have to kind of release the pinky a little bit, but it's still on the sword. You can probably see my grip's like a little weird there. But that doesn't neglect, but that means I have to rely on a little bit more on my right hand. But as it's coming up, I'm able to fix the grip, all right? Details, I know, but just so that way you're not straining to keep the grip too tight, all right? Let's do it. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 7, 1, 8, 1, 9, 1, 10, 1. All right, let's do some more. Speed it up a little bit. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more, a little faster. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, shake it out, shake it out. Middle how next, all right? So gonna make sure you have a little space, make sure you have enough space in front of you as well. I'll try not to hurt my plant. So what we're going to do is go into the middle hook. We're going to cut. The biggest thing here is it's very difficult to keep steep there, that horizontal cut level. A couple things. One, put the weight on the side of the leg, towards the leg that you're cutting to. So if I'm cutting towards the right, most of my weight is on my right leg right now. And turn your heel to cut with the sword. And when I go to cut the other way, see how I reset into the horse stance or the middle hook, and my weight has shifted to my other leg, and then cut back. All right. All right, Shanti, I'll get to your question in just a second. Okay. All right. Let's do these. We'll do them relatively slow. All right. So into the middle hook, and 1, 2, 3. And Ashanti, if you want to type the question in the box, that would be the easiest way for me to get it. 3, 4, 5. Switch sides. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's do some more. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Let's do 10 more from the other side because we were starting on the other side. We'll try to make it a little faster, okay? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, Ashanti, you had a question, Ashanti? Let's see. Oh, so Ashanti said, "What is a good replacement for Mittelhau and Unterhau if you don't have low floor space?" I have been doing short edge, Unter, and Zwerg. Yeah, I mean those are basically the same thing. One thing you can also do, yeah, just if you want to do for Unterhau, right? It was a question about for Mittelhau. Yeah, actually, if you want to practice, you can. If you have if you don't have the right amount of floor space, you can do really short ones, right? Because especially if you have whatchamacallit, for Mittelhau, you can tiny little middle house, and I actually sometimes do this over my bed or a couch, so you can practice that same thing. In terms of Unterhau, what you can do, you can begin in Einhorn, right? Begin in Einhorn and simply go to the, simply do the same thing and cut. And one of the things you should be able to do, and this is one thing I'm trying to incorporate in future iterations of these practice cuts, is moving our hands to the different postures and cutting from different ones. It's why we do in the extended cutting series, we do ox and cut from ox. We could also do from here, if we wanted to, Unterhau from ox, right? So those are all things. You can do. Zwerchau in some ways can be, especially if you think about when they're talking about zwerching to like the lower openings or the middle openings. It's basically a high Unterhau, right? A high Unterhau with a fancy name or possibly a word before you actually do the work. More on that at another time. Okay, so we have, what time is it? About 10 minutes left. So we're going to do some quick thrusting practice. And then I'm just going to do a brief, I'm going to finish up with brief comments about hand postures and considerations for parries. All right, so we'll cram a lot into this last couple minutes. All right, so everyone into the long point. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to practice the thrust to the throat. Right, now one thing we won't want to do when we're doing the practice thrusting to the throat, let's see if I can line up, if I can get a better sideways image here, is we don't want to extend overly up and out, right? Especially because with long point, we want that tip generally at our throat height, right? If you look at, it's hard to set, it's also, I have a fisheye lens, so it's a little difficult to like really see. But my sword is generally pointed towards where my throat would be, projected in front of me, all right? And so when we thrust, we want to make sure that we thrust forward, right? Thrust forward, forward, right? Because if you go up, yeah, it's great. You're stabbing them towards the face, but there's a lot of bone here. There's just like, I mean, maybe you might catch them here, but you're probably going to get them here. And unless you thrust them through the mouth, which is in the Messer text, but it's very specifically says thrust them in through the jaw or mouth. Thanks, LeCookner. So when we do this practice thrust, think forward, right? And so into the long point, check your structure, check your grip. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your arms are growing first. 6, 7. And on the out is more important than the in. It's fine if you get into the target. It's harder to come out. So 70% of your energy needs to be on the out. And think more down when you come out. That's when you can think more down. All right. Where were we? 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now we're going to practice. This will actually, we're going to get the other 20 thrusts in, but we're going to do it in a more interesting way. Okay. So as over the last couple of weeks, I've been adding more thrusts, particularly thrusts from the shoulder with these 2 different grips. And there's a reason for that, because it's all kind of thrusting with winds are important, right? So we can kind of segue now into practicing some hand grips and also like hand, I guess I don't want to say hand postures because that's ridiculous, but hand positions, and do some thrusts from those different hand positions. Okay. So the first general position, I actually might switch to a little different camera here so I can more easily show you. Okay. So we're all used to this standard grip, right? Yeah. Now, one of the things I'd like to do is, so what we're going to talk about now is the first hand position. So the first hand position is this, right? Right. It means if I'm a right-handed fencer, which I'm making everyone be for this class, my palm is facing to my right. Yeah. If I have a nail, it's facing towards the left. Right. Now, part of the reason this is called the first hand position is because if your sword is in scabbards, it is where, and you draw, that's generally the position of your hand. So your hand is down, right? Now, as people have heard me say countless times, all of fencing is kind of broken down into questions of high, low, left. We can also add kind of the middle line too, and then in and out. So these grips can also be translated into cuts and thrusts, which we'll deal with in just a second, right? So let me switch. So everyone put your messers, just kind of feel, or messers or long swords. If it's long sword, the grip is, some of the texts refer to it as kind of a Schrankhood, or it's like, a Hangen, like from Flug, right? You can go to long point and put your left hand on top, right? And that's your first position, right? Now, to be clear, just so people don't get too confused, these aren't necessarily meant to be guards. What these are, I'm just trying to explain posture, like directions your hands should be facing, right? It helps. It's a tool to help me explain how you're holding a guard or leger. Okay, so here is the first. So again, first position. Some would say if you have a watch on your right wrist, you would be checking your watch. I'm right-handed, but so watch is on the left, but whatever. Anyway, so that's the first, and the second. This, right? Your knuckles are now basically, boom, right? Your knuckle, your palm is facing the floor, and right, palm is facing the floor. The navel of your messer would be facing up, right? Now, our typical grip, and same thing. If it's, you can think of, if this was longsword, it would be kind of a sideways. It would be right flug held very horizontally, right? So this is the second hand position, right? Second hand position, right? Now, third hand position is what we all know, standard grip, right? Your palm is facing to your left. Navel would be on the right. Very simple. And the fourth hand position, your palm is facing up. Yeah, palm is facing up, navel would be facing down. And so these are, again, these aren't necessarily meant to be guards, but they are helpful ways to kind of explain where and how our hands are being held. What was also nice is that they are ways to also kind of talk about how we apply the other things, right? Like the thrusts, for instance. Let's all begin in long point. Our hands in long point are in the third position. Our hands are in the third position. We are in long point. Our hands in the third position, right? Now we can thrust to first, right? By going, bringing our hands high, and then putting our hand in the first position, right? This should look familiar, right? We're basically winding into ox on the right. Boom. And thrusting. All right, let's do 5 of these, all right? And so into, in the long point with your hand in the third position, we are going to thrust into right ox by putting your right hand into the first position, right? Now, and the tip can be kind of low or it can be straight. Doesn't really matter. I recommend let it hang a little bit. That's okay. All right, let's do 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Now, that's so that would be high. Now we can also use this to kind of do a verhangen from a low thrust, flug, right? So same thing. It's everything's about high or low. So back to the long point in the third, and having your hand in the third position. And we're going to go to flug, but it's going to be a hanging flug, right? So we're kind of thrusting. I guess it's more of a thrust to Alber through flug. See, and this is why it gets complicated with some of the German stuff, or the old way of describing the German stuff. Okay, so we're going to do same thing. We're going to thrust, but it's going to be a low thrust, right? I think you're kind of thrusting here. We're going to do 5 of these. So, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. All right. And the same thing can be done for all those other hand positions, right? So that was first. Now, let's make it, it'll be a little more simpler with second. So if you go thrust, we're going to thrust second long point with the hand in the second position, right? So we're in long point, we're going to thrust with our hand in the second position, right? And second position again, generally this, right? See, if you have a messer, the nail's facing up, palm is facing down. All right, let's do a few of these. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. All right. So third, we've already done, but let's do just 5 so you get the hang of it. 1 to the long point, hands in the third position, and we're going to thrust forward with our hands in the third position. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. All right. We only need to do 5 of those. We've done a ton of those already, right? All right, I got to wrap up. So let's do a few. Let's do 10 in by thrusting from long point. We're going to thrust again into the long point, but we're going to thrust our hand into the fourth position by turning our palms up. Okay? And 1, 2, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Okay, shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out. We'll salute out and then a couple announcements, okay? So, sword on your right shoulder. And Achtung, begrüße, Dankeschön. Okay. All right. So, everyone, thank you. So again, everyone, thank you so much. I'm sorry I ran a little over this time. Had a lot to go. Hope I didn't ramble too much. So yeah, again, I'm really excited about a lot of the upcoming classes. Remember that, so check out GEMAC.club or longestsemester.com for the full schedule. We have all our March classes up. I'll try to kind of broadcast or put the schedule in a little slideshow next time. Most important for this week in terms of schedule, Katie Mead has a swords game class this Friday. Please sign up. It's a lot of fun. And then we have a lot of exciting classes, including KDK will be joining. Joining us. I believe it might even be next. Let me double check that. But KDK is going to be doing a sword fitness class, and I know that Kat has more. Sword yoga, yoga for swords people coming up. And Dina is reminding me next Tuesday is KDK. Okay, so next Tuesday I will not be doing this session, but it will be KDK doing a sword fitness class. It is called Body Check. Check it out at gmac.club or longestsemester.com. The schedules and signups are on both places. Please make sure to check those out. And also, thank you to whoever just donated, which brings me to my the next bit. If you can, I have a link here. I think it's on this side to a tip jar, a gift jar. If I teach these classes, they're online, they're free. If you're able to, I know times are crazy for everyone. Please, donate if you can. If not, that's okay. Please just enjoy the class. All the money that comes in the tip jar goes to keeping the lights on and the resources flowing to keep these classes coming. Yeah, as always, thank you so much for so much for joining me. And be safe, wear a mask, and I'll see you all next class. All right, thanks everyone.